This is the Galactic Emperor of the Universe. I'm here to tell you all to subscribe to Unrelent Gaming and remember to turn on notifications. You will be the first to know all about the latest Dragon Ball news and information.
Oh, did you say Unrelent Gaming? Oh, I love his channel.
God damn it, Zarbon, stop rubbing your nipples and get back to bed!
Ever since the introduction of the Universe Survival Arc back in January and February of 2017, the Dragon Ball community was introduced to an unknown character that looked exactly like the male variation of Broly, except the only thing was, it was a female, and this female having to be introduced from Universe number 6, hailing by the name of Kale. And we understand based on Dragon Ball Super spoilers, that Kale will indefinitely be eliminated by the strongest Pride Trooper of Universe number 11 having to be Jiren, but the only concern I have as a fan is just seeing the way this character was portrayed originally and having to display nothing but dominance, only to have a momentary on-screen setting of her dominating the Universal Fighters within the Tournament of Power until she encounters her untimely demise by the hands of Jiren. Now I personally feel as a fan, they should have given Kale a bit more screen time given the fact that we don't know anything further beyond Dragon Ball Super Episode 100, in having Kale display a bit more dominance before her untimely demise by the hands of Jiren, in which I do agree on having Jiren be the one to eliminate Kale from the Tournament of Power, but not until seeing what Kale can truly do against some of the other Universal Fighters, for example having to pit Kale up against Frieza, Kale against Piccolo, Kale against Gohan, even the androids, as that would be a very interesting turn of events to see how the androids number 17 and 18 would handle themselves against such a powerful Saiyan. Now by no means is Kale remotely close to Super Saiyan Blue in terms of feats, or at least that's what we're led to assume, unless of course they want to change her overall direction and have her be comparable, in which case I really doubt, but having Kale display raw unmitigated power early on just for her to get eliminated would kill the overall atmosphere of having this female Broly-like character be introduced who resembles the male variation of Broly in the Dragon Ball Z movies, having to display brief carnage on screen before meeting her untimely demise, I think is a little watered down. A good example of this is Krillin in Dragon Ball Super Episode 99. Take that as an example. We've seen lots of training from Krillin, as Goku himself tested Krillin as a Super Saiyan Blue by even launching a Kamehameha in his direction and having to undergo a beam struggle, and seeing Krillin spar with Gohan, and seeing Krillin's development with Android 18 as a fighter, ultimately just to see him in Dragon Ball Super Episode 99 throw a stinky shoe at one of the fighters, and having him later be ringed out by Frost kills the credibility of everything Krillin had gone through up until that very point. And the same thing applies for Kale in having to build her up as this seemingly unstoppable force from Universe number 6, a force to be reckoned with, as we've seen firsthand the canon version of what she can do as seen in Dragon Ball Super's preview for Episode 100, as Goku even questioned himself if in fact this was the true variation of what a Super Saiyan is. I think kills the overall momentum that Kale has, because we could have seen more from her than we've ever previously assumed or thought of, as Kale could have been displayed as a force to be reckoned with prior to Jiren having to step in and throw her out. Perhaps even having her eliminate the likes of Master Roshi or Tien would have also made her that much credible for the team of Team Universe number 6, as that would have created tension between Champa and Beerus, as Champa's overall character would get the best of Beerus in celebrating on the idea that Universe 7 is in fact losing fighters, but also increasing the body count for Kale and having her also be the first one to have the highest body count in throwing people out. However, I do still stand by the idea in having Blue Goku and or Blue Vegeta fight Kale even as a berserker like Saiyan is a bit unfair, which is why I think it's safe to say going into Dragon Ball Super Episode 100, it's going to be awesome to see Super Saiyan 1 Goku and Super Saiyan 1 Vegeta, perhaps even pushing it to Super Saiyan 2, having to battle against this Saiyan. But I do think that overall they should have given Kale at least one extra episode in displaying raw unmitigated carnage. After all, this Tournament of Power is the perfect setting for such a thing to happen, and having multiple characters getting up on her and just seeing how easily she can just flick people off of the ring just by displaying her raw power. But post your comments down below. What are your overall thoughts on Kale's character? What are your overall expectations? Do you think they should have marinated this and given her at least one extra episode going into Dragon Ball Super Episode 101 and seeing her perhaps go up against the Pride Troopers and lose, as you can't have her be the main MVP? But I think as a whole they ought to preserve her character in nature, and possibly if down the road they were to include more arcs featuring the Universe 6 Saiyans, they can always include her as being the wild card. But I would like to know what you guys think down below. How far do you think Kale should have gone in the Tournament of Power? The only reason why I'm bringing this up is because the overall build-up and hype back when we first were introduced to this character in January/February, the entire community was hype on the idea that we're gonna get a female variation to what was of Broly in the Dragon Ball Z non-canon films, and having to see such a character now on screen, it seems like they're gonna be portraying her on screen momentarily until she comes across the likes of Jiren, and it's good for her that Hit is on her side, because you can only imagine what would happen if the quote-unquote female Broly ran into the assassin, as we already know that Hit would massacre her. But either way, drop your comments down below. Dragon Ball Super episode 100 and beyond hype, guys. The Tournament of Power continues. Hopefully enough we will get more from Kale in the future, and hopefully enough they actually develop more dialogue for this character, as I would hate to see her be the exact copy and paste of what was of male Broly, as I do think that once she transforms, although she should lose her mind, she should also retain who she is in having proper dialogue and having to conduct herself well. But the only difference between her and Broly would be the fact that she's able to control this form, to control this power, even though it's overflowing from her body, and seeing her master that, I think the community would gravitate more towards her than Broly, just because she would have more advancement in her character than Broly ever did. But post your comments down below, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Tune back in for more if you guys are new to the channel. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and punch that bell icon to turn on notifications to be notified whenever I post a Dragon Ball video onto the channel. Hashtag notification squad, and I'll be seeing you all down in the comment section below, guys. Have a great day. Peace.
This is The Perfect Being. I'm here to tell you all to subscribe to the perfect channel, Unrelent Gaming. Please remember to turn on your notifications to be the first to know about the latest in Dragon Ball news and information. And if you don't, very soon you will all be dead, along with your entire planet.